Welcome. This is Exploring Santa Cruz with Jean Kratzer. My guest today is Ruth Martin. Ruth Martin is the owner of Ruth Martin Home Care, and I'd like to welcome her to Exploring Santa Cruz.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Jane.
Ruth, could you tell us what you do at Ruth Martin Home Care?
Okay, Ruth Martin Home Care provides caregiver in the houses of clients, especially elderly people or people after surgery. And I personally go also to organizations or to businesses and provide information about home care in general. And we are working at a home care agency also together with hospice.
Ruth, as you can see, has had a great deal of experience working with senior citizens. We are in the holiday season. And as you know, in the holiday season, we're all thinking of presents that we want to give to people that we care about. Ruth has done something unique. She's come up with a list of what she calls gifts with seniors in mind. So we're going to talk about some of the really great ideas that she's come up with. Ruth, give us an idea of what this list is all about.
The list is gift ideas for people that are disabled or elderly, and very often family members and or friends are a little bit in the air and say, you know, my mom is 90 years old. We like to do something special. What can we do besides buying some sweaters or something else, you know? And I came up with a list talking with elderly people, but also have the experience by myself that I looked for something special for my elderly friends. And this is the results here we are talking about today. I hope so.
Okay, give us an idea of some of your simplest ideas.
Okay, the ideas of the list is that I came up with something that cost money, but cost a little bit money, and what cost no money at all. For example, free would be go in the house of an elderly person and set up a closed captioning that the elderly person can read instead of listening to the TV. Go there if you're a friend or family member and do the house cleaning for an elderly person.
Let's go back to the closed captioning because that's for people who don't hear well. What about people who have problems with their eyesight? Then what can you do?
With the eyesight?
Yeah.
You can have a book and listen to
an audiobook.
An audiobook, for example, yeah.
And you can buy it, or you can go to the library maybe and get it for free.
Correctly, yeah. This is something free. And there is a lot of more frees, like walks in around the mall, or go visit a nursery, go to the sloughs or to the wetlands. And very often, what I like to do with elderly people is go to rehearsal of the symphony.
Yeah, this is wonderful. If you go to the symphony orchestra rehearsals in Santa Cruz, it's free.
That is free. You're right.
And for music lovers, that just can't be beat.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea.
And it is very often on the Friday evening before the Saturday performance. It is evenings, you know. But I think if you pick up your elderly person or your friend who would like to go but cannot drive by itself any longer, it would be just so beautiful for both of you to go there and listen to the music and listen to the conductor to explain again and again to the musician. It's just so joyful.
Now, there was something else that you mentioned to me a while ago, and that was there's some way that you can arrange for one of the senior citizens that you want to give a special gift to be seated in the midst of the musicians. Could you explain that? And is that the rehearsal or is that the regular performance?
Okay. First of all, it is during the rehearsal. You give a gift to the Santa Cruz Symphony, and this financial gift, and this gift include that you be invited to one of the rehearsals and you sit among the musicians during the rehearsal on Friday evenings.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. And how do you arrange for that?
You go to one of the performances to the symphony, or you call the symphony and ask them that you like to make a donation. for the seat among the musicians during a rehearsal. I think it is 200, or it was last season, $200 or $250.
Oh, so it's quite significant.
It's quite a little bit money, you know. But this is something special, you know.
Very special.
And the symphony had no other gifts, you know, that are more expensive you can buy as a donation to the symphony, you know. But this, with the sitting among the musicians, is so welcome among my friends.
Yeah, for somebody for whom music is their life, that is
exactly. I
gift.
did it once, then it is quite expensive, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so we were kind of starting off with things that were free or nearly free, and I made you jump to something that doesn't fit into the free or nearly free category, but it was related to the free symphony orchestra rehearsals, and so I thought it was worth putting that in. So what are some of the other gifts, really well-appreciated gifts that can be given to senior citizens that don't cost a great deal of money?
Besides that you do the house cleaning, you can probably pick up the laundry and do the laundry at your own home or at the house of an elderly person. You can pick up clothes and bring it to the dry cleaner, but it's also not so expensive. And you spend time with them, but costs basically nothing except your time. And I think also weekly or daily phone calls are so much appreciated by elderly people. It's not only that you call them, it's also that you think about them, you know. And if you talk only 5 minutes what you have done the day or the evening before, or the children or the grandchildren or friends you have, share with this elderly person, especially when the elderly person cannot go out from the house any longer. It is so much you can do, just this couple minutes to be on the phone with the elderly person.
And also, I imagine not just telling them about things, but listening to whatever they have to say, because there may be things that they haven't had a chance to talk about to anyone.
Jane, this is so important also for people that are starting to have memory loss. It's so important that you ask them and give them the time to answer. Sometimes it needs time, and if you just cut in again and talk, the elderly person may forget what they like to say, or they don't say it any longer, then they don't have the time. And please be reminded, elderly people, some of them need more time to talk to you, bring their own thoughts in a sentence, you know. And this is the reason that I say, take the time, whatever you do, and be kind, you know, and considerate when you are dealing with elderly people, whether at the phone, at home, in the grocery store, you know, when you stay in line there. Let the elderly people do what they still can do, and not step in and say, oh, I can take your money out from your wallet. No, give the time that the elderly people need to do what they still can do.
I'm reminded of an experience that I had just a few days ago where I was invited to meet the mother of someone who's a friend of mine. And we went to where the mother lives, and she is, I think, if she's not 90, she's pretty close to it. And she was giving a poetry reading. Now, she said to me herself, you know, I can't remember anything that happened 5 minutes ago. But she remembered the poetry. She has many published books of poetry. She read from her books, and her poetry was superb. And she's still composing poetry. So even though she may not remember, I don't know, what she had for breakfast maybe, she can still write poetry, and it is fabulous poetry. So there are things that people can do, and they go on doing. And there was another poet who read there, and he said when he was reading his poetry, there was someone who was in their 80s or 90s who was saying the poem from memory at the same time that he was reading it. And this was someone who had a very, very difficult memory, but she'd never forgotten the poetry that she'd learned. And he said, poetry is like music. You don't forget it. No matter what else is happening, you still remember it. So, yeah, let people do what they can do and don't assume they can't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you had a very unique experience, a very beautiful experience, with this poetry reading. And when you say the words are like music, if you look at elderly people in institutions like in nursing homes or assisted living, they very often remember the songs from their youth, but they don't remember the songs from yesterday. And that's what I say. Do what is possible for the elderly people, or not necessarily what you want to do. Listen a little bit and look into what they want.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. So let's go on with this incredible list that you have. We probably won't get through all of it, but at the end, we'll give out your website, and people who want to have more information can just give you a call, and maybe you could even post this list on your website.
I think it is there. I have to look at, yeah.
Okay, I hope it's there.
I hope, yeah.
So what are some more things that people can give as gifts? And this is not just for the holiday season. This is all year round.
I think so also. We are looking at holidays at this time of the year. But a holiday is a birthday. A holiday is a celebration when someone married or went in a relationship, And this is so important for me that we look into and honor this kind of dates. There are so much more. For example, if the elderly people has glasses, why you don't pay for the new glasses or the new frames or whatever is coming up. If the elderly person had to go to a dentist, look that you can probably pay for if the elderly person has not so much money. And there is also dientes, what they say it is for low-income people, for elderly, but they also use children. You can go there to dientes. You can look up dientes, and it is also probably on the website. Then I wrote about a total article about dientes years ago. And then you have to look a little bit also new hearing aids, buy groceries, or go with the person and buy groceries. Go together to a play or to a performance, a musical, also during the year. We are here in Santa Cruz. We are so fortunate to have all these more or less small or larger theaters here, performances, It costs some money, but it is enjoyable for both of you. If you really listen to the senior or to the person you like to give a gift and ask them what they want to do, make a list or talk with them and offer. And then you can come up with something that they really would like to enjoy, including yourself.
And just going out to some of the beautiful parks that we have here. That was one of the things you suggested.
Exactly. The parks are free, basically. Some parks are very, very easy accessible with wheelchairs and walkers. Some parks, not so much, But anyway, look that you can go also up to the university. It's a little hilly there, but there are also ways you can still go with a walker or with a wheelchair.
And there's some beautiful views up there at the university.
Gorgeous. And in the summertime, sometimes you see the goats or the cows there.
That's true.
Eating the grass.
And you also said something about going north or south on Route 1.
Yes. I like to drive north, Davenport and go a little more north. And there is Año Nuevo, I think I pronounce it right. There are the animals there, and there are guided tours. You cannot go on by yourself, but the elephant seals are there at the winter time, and there are guided tours. I'm not sure they have a fee now or not, but make your research and look into it. It's worth to go there.
And is that accessible to people in wheelchairs or
yes.
with walkers?
Not exactly all the way to the beach, but partially. There are woods on the beach that you can go with a walker or wheelchair, partially.
Paths that you can take.
Yeah.
And keeping with that whole ocean theme, you mentioned some other pretty special places and things that people can do.
Yeah. I think there is ship tours, There's the sailing boat. You can go out there. You can walk on the beach. There are
Now, is the sailing boat accessible to someone who has mobility problems? Is it
yes,
safe
it
for
is.
them?
Yeah. There are people there. Depends which boat you are choosing or which ship you are choosing. Some of them have very easy accessible for walker and wheelchair. Some of them not so easy, but there are people there that can lift up your walker and help you to go on the boat, or lift up you with your wheelchair and go on the boat and make a tour here around Santa Cruz. It looks so differently from the ocean. It's so beautiful, you know, if you have a nice day in the springtime and the sun is shining. And also some boats and ships, they offer you some food and some parties. You can celebrate your birthday or a special occasion on one of the boats.
That's a nice idea. It's a good place to have a birthday party. That would be great fun, especially if you see whales or dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the wetlands. You spoke about those both in Watsonville and the Elkhorn Slough.
Yeah, the Watsonville has very, very good ways for wheelchairs and walkers that you can go around. The Elkhorn Slough has at the beginning the ways for wheelchairs and walkers. After you walk a little bit, it is more difficult, then there is no paved roads in the Elkhorn Slough. But it's worth to go there. Also the sceneries, they have a lot of different birds. And don't forget, when you are in Elkhorn, by the Elkhorn Slough, there is also boat tours that you can drive inside a boat through the Elkhorn Slough and see all the animals of the ocean and the birds. And it's just, we are living in an area, it is an El Dorado, you know, to do something outdoors here.
This is true. And for people who during their lives like to be outdoors and to take walks and hikes and maybe can't do it now on their own, it would be wonderful to have someone give them that as a present.
Yeah.
And then you had some other a bit more exotic ideas about things that you could do. Perhaps you could talk about some of those.
Yeah. Okay. There is Watsonville Airport is doing helicopter rides.
Rides.
That cost money, you know. But if a family comes together and pays for the ride for the elderly people and for one person who is escorting the elderly person, it should be able to afford it if this is really a wish, you know. And I know people, they wish that really at the end of life, I want to have one helicopter ride. I was in the military during the Second War, and they really want to go one time more in the air. It's happened.
You're not suggesting that they then parachute out of the helicopter?
No, I think we let this go. We had a former president who did it when he turns 90, I think.
That's right. Yeah, there was somebody who did that.
or something like that. No, they don't do this here. No. But anyway, there are so many more things you can go. You can go in Monterey to the museum, the aquarium. It cost money, but the aquarium had 1 week or 10 days during 1 year free for Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties, citizen and residents. You have to look up. I hope I'm right. It is very often in the fall time, but this is a free entrance, and you have to bring that you live in one of the counties, like your bill for the PG&E or something like that you have approved.
And this is every year, once a year for about a week or 10 days. You can
correct.
Go free.
Exactly. It's a free entrance. It costs nothing. You go in there. But inside the aquarium, you have also these beautiful restaurants. Cost money, you know?
But there's lots of... A restaurant there is going to cost money, but there are lots of cafes and also small restaurants in and around Santa Cruz that are not so expensive, right? So
you're right. Think about in Aptos, you know, the Cessnan House. The Cessnan House is connected to the Cabrillo College. Students from the Cabrillo College, under the oversight of a chef, are cooking there. The Cessnan House, open for lunch and dinner to different day times. It's open exclusively when there are college times. This means when there is a semester. Then if you go more down south, you can go to Carmel Valley and have a hayride with a very famous Pete. Pete is having a tractor and driving his tractor with a wagon, and he drives you to town and stop at a restaurant, and you can have food there, and then you go back with a tractor to your car. Then there is a movie.
Wait a minute. Let's go over that again. A tractor tour. So people are going to be in a wagon being pulled by a tractor?
Yes, exactly.
And if they have some mobility problems, how are they going to get up into that wagon?
Okay, Pete has this step stool, and he helps the people to go on the step stool, steps on the wagon, and there are seats, and there are straw. Also, I have seen that Pete and a friend of his are lifting up a wheelchair and put them on the wagon when the person cannot get up. And when you make these arrangements, tell Pete that you have an elderly person with a walker or a wheelchair, and he made the arrangement that the person can go in. I remember this. I had some person, friend of mine, with a wheelchair, with a walker, and then we helped her to the step stools, go up there, and she was sitting there. Yeah.
And then Pete takes you through the town of Carmel. Where does the
Carmel
tractor
Valley.
go?
Carmel Valley, yes. Wherever you like to go. Carmel Valley is not so big, the town, but the surrounding is very large. But anyway, and then he may stop in a restaurant, or you choose to which coffee house you like to go there. No problem at all.
And if people want to find some information about this, you just look up Pete and the tractor rides?
Pete and the tractor rides, and I have it also on the internet, yeah.
Okay, so that'll be on your website.
Yeah, and there is also a phone number on the website, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what else?
And then one of my favorites, but is so welcomed by elderly people, are the so-called movie tour in Carmel. There is a man, he has a bus, and he is riding the bus to the peninsula there, to all the places where movies have been filmed. And you see the little scene of the movie, and the back of your seat there's a little TV monitor, and he explains how the movies with the stars, where they lived, in which hotel, and which scene was filmed there. And he drives to Carmel, Monterey, and on the ocean, all the way to 17 Hole, of Pebble Beach, of course. And then you can stop there or not. And it is just so enjoyable. All the seniors are invited for birthday presents or whatever. They were so pleased. They were smiling all over the faces, and they could never talk. And they talked to family members about this tour. It's something special,
And these are probably movies that they've seen and that they remember.
Exactly.
Oh, that sounds like something really, really special.
It's fun. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah. Yeah. And then if you like to have more, you go out and cruise ships. There are special cruise ships. They are having for seniors the whole ship set up, but it's very safe, But if you stay here in the area, look a little bit out of the normal. Look a little bit out that you can look for something special what elderly people like. But ask the elderly person what they would like to do. If they like to go in a coffee house and not in a museum, then go in a coffee house with them or not in the museum. You would like to go in the museum, but for elderly person, it's probably not the right thing. And then also just walk a little bit. Just spend time with each other. Time basically costs nothing except your time. And being patient and being kind to the elderly person is so much more than every dollar you spend for a gift, but is probably not so welcome.
Yeah, I think you're right about the time. And sometimes people get a bit lonely because they can spend a lot of time by themselves, or people are a bit too rushed, don't have time to sit down and talk to them, listen to them, which is super important.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when you talk with seniors, make sure you face the senior, you face the elderly person. Don't be in the kitchen and scream to the living room where the elderly person sits. go face the person, go maybe down if they sit on a chair, that you have the same level, and talk directly to them. And then you will have also a conversation, you know?
And also, I imagine, try and know, I mean, this depends a bit on whether it's a member of your family that you know well or someone that you don't know well, but try and learn something about their background, I imagine. I remember meeting someone who had been an excellent painter.
Mm-hmm.
She was living in assisted care. She had her paintings up on the walls of her room. She no longer remembered that she had painted them, and yet she had created these amazing paintings.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to learn something about the person and what they've done in their life and have some sense of their achievements.
If you ask questions about the history of the person, you will have answers. Don't ask what happened yesterday, but ask very often. You can partially ask questions about yesterday, but basically ask about the history and you will have answers.
Ruth, I want to thank you. We've gone right through that half hour that we had. And thank you so much for this amazing list of suggestions. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've heard it now who are going to be really excited by having some new ideas. So thank you so very much. And perhaps you could just give us your website so that anyone who'd like more information can go to your website.
That's nice. Thank you. Ruth Martin Home Care, Santa Cruz. I repeat, Ruth Martin Home Care, Santa Cruz. You find my phone number, and you find also other articles I wrote.
I wish you a wonderful holiday.
Thank you, Jane. I wish you the same, and all your listeners happy holidays.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Exploring Santa Cruz on KSQD, K-Squid, 90.7 FM, and on the web at ksqd.org. My name is Jean Kratzer, and my guest today was Ruth Martin.